which is the best virtual reality headset for you? Is it the PSVR2, this thing here? I've used it for just such a long time now, over a year. Really enjoy it, bulletproof, big flaws as well. Or is it something like a PC VR headset? Well, in this video, I'm going to compare the PSVR2 with the Pimax Crystal Lite, which is the latest PC VR headset I've got. And it's going to be a completely honest video on it. I bought the PSVR2. Pimax gave me a Crystal Lite for review, but I give them all the honest feedback, all the stuff that I don't like about it. I let them know, and I'm going to let you know because they're trying to improve their product. So don't worry, this is going to be an honest video. Now, the PSVR2 is a very interesting proposition because it's just had a massive price drop in the US and the UK. Now, in the UK, this has gone down to £350. And that is phenomenal because when you pair that with the PlayStation 5, which I think you can also get for about £350, you're talking £700 for a end-to-end VR experience, console VR experience. And I've played a load of games on PSVR2 on this channel, from sim racing to flight games to Skyrim on the old PSVR1, but games like that, or the sword fighting games and whatnot, loads and loads and loads of games. So you have a lot of content on PlayStation. It's all really well certified on PlayStation, so you just know it's going to work, but you have those drawbacks I'm going to let you know about. So for £700, it's almost, I think, an unbeatable proposition. But you do have the Pimax Crystal Lite. Now, the Crystal Lite retails for about, I think, between $650, $750, somewhere there, depending if you want to have the controllers or not. There'll be a link in the description where you can check that out exactly, because it will change from time to time and there might be some offers there. But the Pimax Crystal Lite is a much more expensive proposition. Not only is the headset more expensive, but you need a fairly beefy PC to run it. Now, I run a 4090 PC, so I run the most powerful PC you can get, and I'm like pushing it to its limits, so I can let you know where its absolute limits are, what the limitations are in the real world. If you were trying to run it on something like a 3060, 3070, I don't know what your experience is going to be, to be honest, but it's worth bearing in mind that if you already have a big gaming PC, the Pimax Crystal Lite starts to come into the fold like that. If you already have a PS5 you're looking to buy from scratch, the PSVR2 is now incredibly competitively priced. They must be selling it at a loss at the moment, basically. So while I'm here, I'm going to run through some of the features of the PSVR2, and then I'm going to run through some of the features of the Pimax Crystal Lite. So what I like about the PSVR2 is that it's one cable into your PS5. That's not going to be the case when you go into your PC, because they're releasing an adapter to use this on your PC. Now, by the way, I don't know what all the people who are getting sponsored headsets are going to be saying at the moment, but I don't think it's going to be hassle-free, and I don't think you're going to have all the features you get on PS5. So I'm talking about the features you get on PS5. You get headset rumble, you get the foveated rendering where it knows where you're looking and keeps that sharp, and it blurs the rest, and you don't even notice it because you only know where you're looking. You have reprojection, which is a pro and a con. I actually think is actually more of a con. I'm going to get onto that, explain what reprojection is. You have a really nice design that has a headphone mount somewhere. Where is the 3.5? Yeah, 3.5 jack at the back. Super lightweight design. The only thing I've used that's lighter than this is the DPVR E4, but this is a super light design. Inside out tracking, so you don't need any base stations. I had the PSVR1. That was a big pain in the butt because it needed to, oh my god, I don't want to go back to that. But this has inside out tracking. It also has pass through, so you can press this button. I've changed it in the settings, so I have that button that I can see stuff throughout the cameras. I did have some issues with tracking early on. That's what this sticky pad is for. I had an infrared light. It looks like firmware has, over time, has made that better. I went through a really rocky patch with this headset about a year and a half ago. You can see that on the channel doing the infrared and all this kind of stuff, but that's better now. And a really simple design as well. Space on the lenses for prescription lenses. So these are like, I should remember who they are, but it'll be VR Optician or VR Wave or something like that. Again, I might have a link in the description if you want to get some at a discount. But it's a fully fledged headset, super lightweight, one cable, runs into your PS5, loads of games available. Some of the games have very good graphics, like Red Matter, and the ones basically where there's no reprojection. So let's go on to reprojection, because Gran Turismo 7, probably the killer app for the PSVR 2, the game that I spent the most amount of time on PSVR 2, of sort of like YouTubers of my size. I'm almost certainly the YouTuber that spent the most in Gran Turismo 7 PSVR 2, so I can let you know the pros and cons. There's a lot of cons, by the way, in Gran Turismo 7 about UI and everything, but I'm going to leave that. I'm going to talk about the actual quality. Gran Turismo 7 has reprojection, which is, I think, at 60 frames a second, Gran Turismo 7 spits out into the headset, and then the headset, or the PS5, basically interpolates every other frame. So it reprojects it. It's a guess, and it makes it blurry and smudgy and not smooth. You also have quite a big mirror effect in the PSVR2, where it's like you're looking through a lint screen. So hard to explain, but imagine if you've got any lint at home, just look through it. It's like you can see, you've realized you're looking through a sheet, basically, and it's not like pixel smooth. Some games really seem to reduce that. Again, stuff like Red Matter was really good. Some of these like more exploration games where there's not a whole lot of dynamism going on. But the open world stuff, the ones with the big worlds, the big draw distances like Gran Turismo 7, just you can see that and you can see the smudginess. So there are limitations with this, but it is kind of magic that it works on a PS5. And for a price right now of £349 on in the UK, I don't have an affiliate link, but if you're on the fence and 340 and you have a PS5, and just try it. I don't know what the return policy is like, but just try it. And if you don't like it and you can return it, return it. I mean, that's going to come from big retailers. It might come the next day. So it's the best time ever to try PSVR 2. However, that said, the Pimax Crystal Lite is a better headset than this. It's just a better headset. And the experience I have on PC with my Pimax Crystal Lite is just better. And I'm going to explain that now. I'm going to magically go to my Pimax Crystal Lite and explain what happens there. Okay, and here I am, as promised, with the Pimax Crystal Lite. Look how like magic this is. So we talked about the PSVR 2. What about the Pimax Crystal Lite? And remember, this is a loan unit from Pimax, but remember, they just want me to let them know everything about it, pros and cons, specifically cons. And as you can see, I've already modded this, so I'm going to let you know why I've done that. So the Pimax Crystal Lite is a headset that if you run it on something powerful enough, does not need reprojection. And this will go up to 120 hertz, 120 frames a second. So PSVR 2 does 60, and then it doubles every other frame to get you to 120. This will just do 120 frames. Or it will do like 90 frames, or it will do 72 frames. And 90 frames, for example, is a much smoother and crisper experience than 120 on PSVR 2 reprojected. Now, this is much lighter than its predecessor, which was the Pimax Crystal that I also had. That was really bulky because it had a battery in the back. That battery was of no use for me because it's always connected to my PC. So now I have a version where I don't need to have the battery. That's the Pimax Crystal Lite. And it's a much crisper display. And I can genuinely say this. PSVR 2, well, at least at launch, it's slightly improved, but definitely at launch, what you saw on screen from people reviewing PSVR 2 was not how it looked in the PSVR 2 headset. And that's why I made lots of videos saying, why is your PSVR 2 blurry, and explaining about reprojection and things you can do to try and improve it, like lower the brightness and stuff like that. The Pimax Crystal, what you see on screen is basically what you get in the Pimax Crystal. When I'm doing iRacing now in the Pimax Crystal with all my settings, it just feels to me like I'm driving pretty much in the real world. I think there's some, not in the real world, in iRacing in 2D. It feels like there's some slight differences when it comes to maybe like particles and sort of like soft reflections. Those are less intensive, I feel, to do in 2D than to do in 3D. So I'm thinking like when the sun's setting, it doesn't look quite as good in the Pimax Crystal in 3D. But if you're in sort of noon, let's say you're at absolute noon, the sun's high in the sky, for me it looks almost exactly the same as in 2D. And what you certainly see in the videos that I do of this in 2D in every game are actually very representative, because you'll see in iRacing there's probably not quite as much details in 2D, but it's still pretty good. But then you look in Rensport and it's just horrendous, and it's horrendous in the headset. And you look at F124 and it's horrendous in the headset. So it's quite an accurate representation. So at least on my channel, if you want to understand how the Pimax Crystal actually looks through the lenses, the footage is actually quite a good indicator of that. I genuinely mean that. I would get slated if that wasn't the case, but that's true. That's what it is. The headset itself is not... I don't feel like it's quite as light as PSVR 2. Also, it has a head strap where the PSVR 2 doesn't. And it has this sort of rotating bit here, where the PSVR2 just goes out the back. So theoretically, this gives you more adjustability, but it also doesn't feel like one unit as much as a PSVR2. So there's pros and cons there. Now, a pro or a con again is that this has audio built in. These are actually headphones here, you can see. So you've got headphones that you can also adjust. They have something called DMAS. I don't fully understand. That's even better sound. But I just flick these down and I can hear ambient sound and I can hear the sound through the PSVR2. You can obviously run headphones as well and do all that through your PC. It's got one cable coming out here, but then it splits out into a few cables depending on your setup that go into the PC. See loads of cables going into my PC behind me. It's got the same sort of system at the back. It's not quite as good as a PSVR2 because this button doesn't go in to sort of release the whole thing. It only tightens. And I quite like the PSVR2 when you press it and the whole thing releases. So it's not quite as ergonomic. And also, at the moment, I've got this set up with lenses like I had on the PSVR2. So these are prescription lenses because I normally wear glasses. Right now I'm wearing contact lenses, but normally wear glasses. And that means what I do is, this is actually a massive point I'm going to get onto. But let me just get onto a con and I'll get onto the pro. The con is that with these lenses, I didn't have quite enough buffer because the lenses protrude out and they get close to your face. So you need to be also further back. So I bought this puffy thing that was for like a HTC Vive or something, another headset. And it just fits perfectly, as you can see. And it gives me that puffer. So when this goes on my face, my eyes are not smearing the lenses. So you can see them not greasing up the lenses. Now, here's the big pro that I only realized recently. So on the Pimax Crystal Lite, you can look at your desktop. And that's a game changer for me. Because what that means is, if I want to go VR racing now, and let's say I've got my glasses on, I'll take my glasses off. I'm going to presume a lot of people watching this, maybe you exactly right now, wear glasses. Put a glasses emoji if you wear glasses, and just put an eye emoji if you don't wear glasses. It'd be really interesting to see. But anyway, I wear glasses because I'm blind. And I take them off, and now I put the headset on. And what I do is, I just go into my desktop, and I start the game through there. What I was doing previously is I was starting the game on with my glasses on. I take my glasses off, put the headset on. If something wasn't quite right, I go back to the desktop. You can imagine how painful that was. But now you can look at the desktop here, absolutely crystal clear. I can start the game and check my recording and everything. I can Alt-Tab. I can probably create windows. I've never tried it, but I can go through all the windows and everything, check it all out, which is amazing. It also has inside-out tracking. It has the cameras, as you can see. Try and get it in focus here because the camera's really fussy about focus. And you can double tap the side of it and it will go to pass through. So similar to the PSVR2 has a button. This one you double tap it and you go to pass through. Again, the pass through is you're not going to really use it for anything other than checking your bearings and picking up controllers. I don't want to overstate it. Like pass through on both. I say actually maybe the pass through, and this is, I think the pass through in PSVR2 feels slightly more natural. The pass-through on Crystal Light feels a bit more agricultural. But like I said, it's for checking your bearings. Where are you? Which way are you facing? Can I pick up my controller? Is it calibrating the floor correctly? Speaking about calibrating the floor, the software side, I'm going to say, pros and cons. So on PSVR2, way more simple. Like, it's all integrated in the PlayStation 5. You double tap your PlayStation button or your options button, it goes into quick settings. You can redo your eye calibration and everything and the brightness. Amazing, easy. Pimax Crystal, you have to go into Pimax Play. That's their proprietary software. Way more customization. You can go 72, 90, 120, your quality settings, your IPD, all that kind of stuff, but it's more convoluted. So if you want simplicity, you're never going to beat console. If you want to have the adjustability, it's a bit like maybe Apple versus Android, this being Android. So worth bearing that in mind. And the headset itself, in terms of looks, I don't know, actually. I don't know. I feel like this looks badass with this V that does light up, actually. This is like RGB, I think. It lights up. But you won't see it. So for other people, the PSVR2 headset is very sleek. Very sleek. This is more like angular. So again, personal preference. I don't know. I'm not gonna stay on the fence. I think I prefer this one because it's badass. The PSVR2 wouldn't look out of place in a design museum. This looks almost military. So different strokes for different people. But honestly, I've waffled on for so long. I want to turn it over to you in the comments because you guys and girls are so many VR experts, so many people curious about VR. Which do you prefer? Or which do you think is better based on the stats I've told you? PSVR2 or Pimax Crystal Light? There probably will be an affiliate code for Pimax Crystal Light in the description if you want to buy it. Don't buy it off the basis video unless you're a billionaire, in which case, why are you watching this video? Do your other reviews. But if you do want to buy it and then support me, there'll be an affiliate link. I think there might also be a voucher for you as well for a discount. You can check it out. But yeah, two very different headsets, pros and cons. Definitely don't rush into either. But yeah, I'm a big fan of VR. Like, I like being in VR. I like racing in VR. I race in real life. And I find it very intuitive to race in VR in terms of my depth perception and how I view braking markers and apexes. And I feel like it's helped me. I genuinely feel like it's helped me with my real world racing. At least I started sim racing really on a PSVR 1, and I was just doing that in 2D, in the 2D screen in the headset. So I was always in that environment. But yeah, let me know what you think. Two different headsets, cool video to do, and I'll see you next time.